Okay, so for task number 2, I've got a couple different sessions, or a couple sessions for each option here. Let me show you our active drive, Spring 21, Music 3071, Task 2 folder here. So if you'd like to use use Melodyne to try to tune something, I've got 2 different sessions in here. If you want to try sidechain processing, I've got 2 different sessions in here. And as always, you can do this on another system if it's more convenient for you. You can use audio that you might already have from something else, but I just thought these might be convenient. So as far as Melodyne, I've got one that says horn tuning and one that says vocal tuning. So I've got the one for the horn tuning open, and I made stems, which we've talked about this before. Stems are just a bounce of all the audio of a given type. So for instance, this first track is all the drums. So all the drums from that session have been bounced to a stereo track. The bass, there wasn't really necessary to make a stereo track for the bass because bass is a mono signal anyway, but I already had the track set up to do a stereo print. Piano, and then the horns I did as individual stems. So what you can do is you can tune one, you can try to tune them all. I think it probably would sound best if you try them all, but the reason I opened this one first is because obviously this is a live recording, so there's going to be bleed in the mics, meaning if I solo this first, as what's called horn 1, if you just solo it and listen to it, there's some drums, you hear a lot of cymbals in there, snare, a little bit of bleed from the other horns as well. So tuning this one will be a little more difficult, or not difficult, but it might be a little less effective, and it might actually, as you start tuning stuff, it might actually affect some things that you don't really intend to affect. So I would recommend try tuning them all if you can. As long as you do one, in my my opinion, you've completed the assignment. But so I think, if I remember correctly, I assigned extra credit for tuning all of the horns in this one. So let's just grab one. We're going to go to Other, Melodyne. Brings up our Melodyne window. And I'm just going to go ahead and, for now, I'm going to take, I don't know, let's just take this much for now. So highlight a region. If you want to take the whole track, highlight the whole track. I'm just going to do this much for now. We're going to highlight. We're going to hit transfer. And then hit play. Okay, so again, if it got too loud in here, once you hit the transfer button, you still have to hit play in Pro Tools to actually transfer it in. So here's what we got, and if you remember, the algorithm once it reads everything into Pro Tools, it's going to assign it to whatever the closest value it determines it to be at. Now, once we go, if we choose our main tool here, if we just select everything, right, and then go to our tuning, our pitch tool, if you double click on any one of these, it's going to snap them all right in to the center of whatever note it thinks this was intended to be. So we could do it one at a time. If some of them sound fine, you don't have to tune them all. You can just double click and you can see them move right there. Now let's just solo. Now you can either solo the track You can either solo it in Pro Tools here, or if you want to leave that unsoloed, you can just double click in the timeline and it'll just play that track. Okay, so a couple of things, especially at the end here, as notes are kind of not really decaying, but like kind of getting thrown away. So let's take a listen to that again. Now, obviously, some of that is not actually the horn, like it cut out right about there. So this is all just noise, and I think we should be able to just cut it out. Yep. So if you go back to your main tool, right, and you select a piece of audio and just hit delete, it'll cut that out, because this is actually, the horn has stopped playing at that point. So we don't want to tune this stuff because that's not the actual performance. And we'll take that out as well. We'll leave that. So we just did the really basic, straightforward double click to snap it into the middle, right? And that's actually it's not bad. Remember, in Melodyne you can undo just like you can in Pro Tools. Now that's interesting that it tracks this way down here, but it didn't sound like it dropped that much in pitch. So what would happen if I brought this, if I moved this, I gotta go to my pitch tool. What would happen if I moved this up? So that's on a D right now. What if I move this up to this D? Does it do anything different? Because it doesn't sound like the note changed. That brings it up a whole octave, and that's definitely not what we want. Okay. So what else can we do? There's some other stuff we can try if we want to make this a little better. We can go to our pitch modulation tool. And if there's any instances where the pitch wavers within a region, in Melodyne they call these blobs, which is, I guess, kind of fitting, but I don't know, maybe I'll try to use that term just to differentiate between regions in Pro Tools and blobs in Melodyne. So you might want to go, and I'm actually going to zoom in a little here so we can see this a little better. And with our pitch modulation tool, if we want, we can make some adjustments here to bring some of these up. Now this might sound a little artificial because it's a I think this might have been a trombone. So there are some natural just performance swells in the pitch, and we might, by doing some of this, we might ruin some of that performance. But let's just take a listen and see if that helps. Yeah, I think that actually made it worse, to be honest. We can go to our pitch tool again, and then we get these kind of swells between pitches. And if you go down towards the bottom of one of these big orange marks here, you can adjust the kind of slope into the next note. So sometimes that just helps smooth things out a little. And again, a lot of this is like a lot of things, going to be trial and error. Just figure out, you know, a good balance. Oh, and did you hear that? So obviously, that makes things worse for this instance. I don't like that one. So I might try to modulate this one. I might even, let's see, I might even break that into another region. If you go to your main tool, anywhere you double click, once the cursor turns into this thing here, the arrow left, right, you can break any blob up as much as you want. So I'm going to break this one up. Actually, that didn't break it, did it? It looks like it almost put it back together. Ah, and you can see, so now it assigned it to this spot when I broke it. This part of the note is a little sharper than this part of the note. So it says it's kind of more between a C and a D flat. So if I go back, I'm still on my pitch tool. If I double click this, it snaps it back into there. Okay, but, and I'm going to zoom in a little more. But in this case, now that we've separated that, it might help to modulate the pitch here. And I don't know. But let's just see. I'm going to zoom out a little, play from back here. Okay, that I think made it a little better. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to modulate this pitch. I'm going to flatten out that a little bit. Listen to that. Okay, might be onto something. Now with this one, because this modulator swells up so much here, I think it might work better if we split this blob up just like we did the other one. And if I go back, now to split it, you need to be in your main tool and go to kind of the top half of the region there. So once we've split it up, we can go back to our pitch tool, double click, get those in place. And now, back to modulation tool, we can try to smooth that out a little bit. And if we go back to the main pitch tool, that's where it shows us these orange lines kind of blending the two notes together. So you can see how it's adjusting the modulation within that waveform. Now, I don't know if this is going to help or make it worse, but that's why we take a listen. Once we make a change, you want to take a listen, see if you made it better or worse. Okay, I think that's better. Now on this one, where this part of the note here, there's a big swell up into that note. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but notice when we break that region, it now assigns what was here way down here. Because initially it was seeing this all as one blob, and we broke it up so it says, well, this part of the note that you just broke up is actually about between an A and a B flat. So if we double click that now, it snaps it to the center it's closest to, which in this case it's closer to a B flat than it is to an A. And if we go now to our modulation tool, we can maybe smooth some of this out. If I had not broken this up before and tried to smooth this out, it probably would have been a little too extreme. So that's the only reason I broke that up there. But by breaking it up, it might actually make it a little better. Now, that was really swelled up from here. That's, a significant jump. So, again, this may make it better. It may make it worse. I don't know. But I'm going to smooth out that kind of ramp up a little bit. And, we've already seen at least one instance where it made it a little too artificial sounding. But let's see what this sounds like. Let's try that again. Not mad at that. Let's go back, make these a little steeper like they were, and see if it's better or worse that way. I don't think it's making or breaking it either way, but now you probably can't hear it through my phone like I'm doing right now, but I'm actually hearing a little bit of kind of a flange in the drums, because there's a good amount of drums leaked into this mic. Now, that might not really be noticeable when we put everything back in, so let's just hit play in Pro Tools. And no, I didn't hear anything in the drums while it was in context with the whole song, so I think we're fine there. But that is one of the things to be aware of when you're tuning in a scenario like this, where we've got a whole band playing live and there's leakage in the mics. As we're tuning things, we're also tuning technically whatever else has bled into that mic. In this case, it's mostly drums, and there's not really much pitch involved in that, so I don't think it's making any difference. But when we had it soloed, it sounded a little funky to me, but with the whole band in, it's just fine. So again, that's just kind of a overview of Melodyne, how it works, some of the kind of basic functionality of it, and the tools within it that you'll use the most. Now, you can do timing adjustments here, and we talked about it a little bit, but obviously Melodyne is mostly a tuning tool, so if you're going to make timing adjustments, I don't necessarily recommend doing it in Melodyne, although you can. So hopefully that'll help you get started on this task if you choose the Melodyne option. I might make a quick video as well for the vocal version, and post that in here as well. So as always, if you have any questions, let me know, and hope this was helpful.